interview time, as we have Granite Rock interviewing me and me interviewing Skip from Granite Rock. So talk about feeding off of each other.
Yes, Pete and Jimmy, DaTechGuy, thank you very much for spending a few minutes with Granite Rock.
Well, we're always a pleasure to be here with Granite Rock. I gotta say, I linked to your pieces here, and I wanted to come down. And given the snow, given that it's the 19th of December, Christmas is under a week away, I expected maybe 50 to 75 people. I've counted 228, and that's not counting the Democrats who were standing there protesting Brown for the left.
Yeah,
so that's quite a number.
And there were more people streaming in from the backside of this park.
I mean, the numbers just kept growing. I got here very early. I came here where there was, when I first got here, there were 5. I interviewed some of them, and the numbers just kept growing and growing. Was it a surprise to you at the kind of turnout we've seen?
So far, given the little advance notice and the grassroots type of effort, but these people are dedicated, and these are the influencers that are going to talk to their families and friends and go, you know, we've got an election coming up. Guess who I want to talk to you about? And I think that's going to be a problem. And they're going to talk about why is the NHGOP having this person and all but doing a coronation.
But what I find interesting is I suspect that the Brown people did not expect a big crowd here, because they basically ignored you for a very long time, and then after about an hour we saw a group of brown people immaculately dressed outside with "Run Brown Run" signs, and it brought me to mind of an event in Concord with Mitt Romney where he busted a bunch of people who suddenly put on Romney shirts and didn't want to talk to me. And then when I mentioned to someone, can you believe they're not talking to me? Suddenly 3 guys with suits ran over to be interviewed so that I couldn't report that people didn't want to talk to me. Because when I went over there, no one wanted to talk to me. Then one person said, I'll talk to you, but I'm not officially part of the group.
Now, Pete, you are from Massachusetts.
I still am. I live in Fitchburg.
And he was your senator.
Yes. And he's not a bad... Now, I want to say this about Scott Brown. He's not a bad fellow, and one of the nice things about him was that even when the Tea Party people disagreed with him, when you went to Washington, he would meet with you, and he would give you time, even if you wanted to bitch him out, which I think, as far as a person goes, he's not a bad person. He's got a decent family and such, but Massachusetts doesn't have a Republican infrastructure. We've got 3 or 4 state senators. We've got maybe 30 representatives in a 160-seat House. Brown's probably the best we could get, and frankly, I think he would have had, if you look at the results from the special election, Gabriel Gomez only needed 55% of the Brown vote from 2010 to win, and he couldn't manage it. I think Brown would have gotten enough of the vote to beat Ed Markey. But the day after his hand-picked person was named state chair, he cuts and runs.
Yeah, I read.
And I thought that, and I think New Hampshire has plenty of good conservatives, and what I'm really afraid of is 2 things for New Hampshire. I'm afraid that you're going to have conservatives stay home. I think a lot of these people, if Brown is nominated, will stay home because they won't vote for a non-Second Amendment. And personally, I think it's a mistake because you've got Shaheen. You have to get the best of the 2 choices. But I think if that happens, because that happened to Romney, it will not only cost you a senator in Congress, but it'll cost you voters who will stay home and not vote for state reps and state senators, and that could give the Democrats another 2 years in charge, and that's the real danger for New Hampshire, the division of the party.
Well, we are seeing that battle, that civil war here in New Hampshire. Come on, let's do it, man. About what is the party about? And we're seeing the grassroots versus the establishment Republicans, and a lot of them are seeing exactly this. Why are you fighting the grassroots beliefs? And a lot of people here in New Hampshire are getting to the point where they're saying, if you don't want us, we will stay home. If you're going to wage war against us, we'll stay home. And exactly what you brought out will become the truth.
Well, I think that frankly, this is the core of a New Hampshire Constitution Party, or even if the national, there's a national party that's been holding up signs in Massachusetts, the Term Limits Party. Conservatives could easily swamp and take over that party and run their own unknown candidate if the Republican candidate isn't good enough. Now the Democrats would love this, but the state party doesn't seem to take these people seriously, and I think that is a huge mistake. I think if you're drawing almost 250, in fact more just came over, so it's probably 250 people by now, on December 19th, where they didn't have a shovel before, all this is flat here now, people stomped it down, the shovel only came later. If you're drawing this kind of a crowd, December 19th in the cold, what's going to happen in February? What's going to happen in March? I mean, it's a bad mistake, and I would, and you know, Senator Brown, I like you as a person. You were not a bad senator. I voted for you twice, and if you run in Massachusetts again against Markley, I think you could beat Markey in Massachusetts, frankly, in 2012. I mean, a guy who votes present on his first key vote, you can beat him. You can do it, Scott Brown, if you run in Massachusetts. But in New Hampshire,
not so much.
I think it's a huge mistake.
Not so much.
And I think it's a narcissistic move.
Okay. Well, the tech guy, Pete, I will talk to you later because it sounds like we've got another speaker winding up behind me, and we'll bump into each other a little later on.
And Skip, thank you very much for your time, too.
All right.
Croc TV.